What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining me. I'm Tim Laskus, and you're listening to the Tim Laskus Show, episode 43. Let me tell you, this podcast thing has been incredible for me. I've met some wonderful people, some movers and shakers and influencers in business and entertainment, and I never would have had that opportunity had I not been podcasting. Cannot rave enough. It's a virtual land grab right now. If you're thinking you want to jump into this, if you have a product or service, or even if you don't, if you just have a personality you want to show and maybe monetize a podcast and make money, you need to jump on this today. I've made it easy for you to start. Go over to my website, timlaskus.com, TIMLASKIS, timlaskus.com, and grab your free podcast launch cheat sheet. That's a free podcast launch cheat sheet, 7 steps to get this sucker off the ground. And you need to take advantage of it because it's not going to be up there for long. So go to timlaskus.com and grab your free podcast launch cheat sheet. Now, today's featured guest is Ben Brown. Ben is an expert in sales. He knows his stuff. He lives down in Tampa Bay, Florida, where it's nice and sunny. But yeah, he says they get some rain down there too. He lays it out on how to make money in sales, how to get it done. And sales is one thing that for me, it's always difficult. I've got great ideas, but it's hard to make a sale. And he lays it out for you. Easy to understand steps so that it'll help you in making a sale right now. He's also a veteran of the United States Marines, and I cannot thank him enough for his service. So you want to stick around and listen to this show, this podcast. Enjoy.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests, entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Hello, everyone. Today's featured guest is Ben Brown. Ben, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
Hey, you're down in Tampa, Florida. Is that correct? Down in sunny Tampa? Is it sunny or rainy? What's it doing down there?
The capital of consecutive Sundays behind Denver, I just found out this year. So, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Man. Wow, I didn't know that. Love the sun. Hey, you've been down there for how many years?
Since 96. So, I think I'm going on my 21st year. Yeah. So, been down here and from Atlanta, but Tampa is a great place to live. Diversity is here, and the weather, you just really can't beat it during the wintertime, just watching TV and watching everybody else suffer. But, that's what we do.
For sure. Hey, you got any alligators in your backyard?
Down the street, down the road on the golf course, if you don't have an alligator on there, it's not a top par course for you.
That comes with your green fees, right?
That's right. You get the zoo and you get a good game. So every alligator you go to, every golf course you go to is normally an alligator on there. So when people come down here, I tell people if you have 3 years or younger children, keep them away from open water, right? Any type of water, because they're here, and they attack and younger or vulnerable things. So, I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. So anytime we were walking along as a Floridian, you see a small retention pond or anything like that, you do not let your children in there. You never know, right?
Hey, you ever threaten your kids? You keep acting up, I'm going to send you over to the alligator.
Yeah, well, they want to go pet it. No fear going on there.
So is that what you do for fun? Do you go out golfing? Sounds like you spend a lot of time on the course.
Right now, just building businesses, working with clients. As you know, I have 2 businesses that I do. So in my spare time, it's just basically I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. So I don't really have a life until they start. It's every day helping mom when I have time. Keeping them entertained. My daughter just started riding a bicycle without training wheels, and the other one's riding with training wheels. And so it's just chasing behind children right now. So I'm in good shape, great shape.
Hey, I know that feeling. I got a 3-year-old myself, so definitely. I've been drinking a lot of Red Bull and Monster to keep up with him for sure. Hey, but let's go on to business. So, Ben, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself professionally. What are you currently working on?
Well, I have been in actually business since I left the Marine Corps in '94. Started school and started directly in the gym business and been in sales for over 2 decades now. So my platform is 360 Sales Consultant. I started that about about a year and a half ago through my plight of working with BNI and finding out that people with small businesses had problems, anxiety, and sometimes just didn't know the communication that you need to have or the skill of selling. They had businesses but didn't know how to sell. So the coaching bug hit me around about that time, and I started building my platform. And as you know, I wrote a book, a best-selling book last year, Master the Art of Closing the Sale, that lays out 10 steps every business need to have to actually do that. And I help small businesses double or triple their income because normally I could find one or two reasons right off the bat why they're losing money in sales.
So sales is a huge one. A lot of people have dreams and goals of being that successful entrepreneur. And a lot of times, just, okay, the idea is great, but they struggle with translating it to sales. So that's where you come in, right?
Well, yeah, people have an idea. They have something they're passionate about, luckily. I only have two first rules is if you got to like or love your product, and number two is that you can't assume anything. Everything's ruled out by questions, and the difference between good and great salespeople is the number of questions that you ask and the type of questions that you ask. But most people are afraid. Anxiety, they have a negative connotation when it comes to sales, which you do not have to have. And it's a skill set. So it's basically changing people's mindset because once you know the communication of doing that, because sales is everywhere, right? Your 3-year-old asks you for something continuously, and most of the times you give it up, right?
Correct.
So that's a sale. It's
Yeah.
that child is closing but doesn't know how to do a presentation. But we teach them that that is a negative, right? Don't ask so much, sit down, And so we realize that that's just a negative thing, And so if you go to another country and you go to the market, you don't see prices, but you constantly see people asking, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So America is the only country that has prices on everything. So you don't have to ask, just as long as you can afford it in most cases. Unless you go to New York or Delancey Street or you're buying a car or a house, you're negotiating. So we've been trained, taught out not to sell. Basically, you just need to make more money to afford what you want to have, right? No negotiation unless you're dealing in a car and a house. That's why people hate, buying a car. That's why you have all these apps that you could just make it easy. Here's the price, go pay it, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing with sales. Everybody wants to sell something, but yet we can't stand salespeople. So, it's just, I don't know what it is. And if we get a phone call, it used to be you get these phone calls around the evening time and these marketers want to sell you something or, I know when I go to Costa Rica, we go to the mall, they have the prices there, but they must work on like commission because I go into it like a shoe store. And as soon as I look at something, it's like, oh, what size are you? And they've got the shoe off. They're looking at my feet. They've already got 4 boxes out before I even say anything. And I'm like, man, just get off of me. And it just drives me nuts. So how do people make the sale without being kind of too pushy and pissing people off?
Well, it's not about pushiness and everything like that, right? Because a sale doesn't have to do with monetization, right? You're most people that's married, right? You in a car with your wife, and she asks you, "What do you want to have for dinner?" Now that's a downward spiral from there, right? So, right, and anything that you come out of your mouth normally is going to be a problem, right? Especially if it's wrong. I mean, the whole thing can turn on its head. She's putting you in a sales funnel. She basically not asking you what you want to eat for dinner. She's kind of saying, "Do you really know what I want?" Right? And if you don't know what she wants, then she kind of gets disappointed and she's going to let you have it, right? So the main thing, and I always try to educate people. So I'll ask you, Tim, what is the purpose of a sale? Let me see if you know anything of that.
Well, the purpose of a sale, well, I guess there's multiple purposes. One, it could be initially just to sell that product or service to make money, but the other side is to serve a customer, to make their life easier, to develop a relationship with that person for, down the line, kind of working together. I guess there's multiple parts to making a sale.
Well, let me see if this makes sense. Because a sale doesn't have to do with monetization, right? You go to church. Church is another great sales place because it's a business. They're selling you insight into your soul and your religion and everything else, right? Your child is one of the best salespeople because they don't know when to stop asking. They don't know when to stop closing. So the purpose of a sale is to get somebody to move, right? An action. Back in the days, I used to sell gas, Michigan, up into the northeast region of the United States, up in Ohio and Michigan. And my job was to get you on the phone, and the same pipes that came through your house for gas, we're just switching the gas company to give you cheaper therms. They're like gallons, right? So my job was to make sure, get you pitched up and everything else, and tell you to go get your bill. And you needed to read off your account number in the bill, verify that, and now your gas is turned over. Same pipes, everything still stays the same, but your therms will go down a certain cents, and you'll save X amount of dollars per month. Now, my purpose of that is I'm not asking for a card, I'm not asking for money, I'm asking you to go get your bill, right? So that was my sales process. And when you switched over, I got commission because we now switched you over to a company for the gas. So in the point of sales, you don't always have to look at the monetization. That's what people think on the negative. The mindset is to get somebody to move. As excited as you are about your product, you should try to transcend that to them to get them to do an action. Take a look at this presentation. Ask me a couple of questions. Answer this question. You're getting them to move. Stand up. Do you feel that? Tell me all about that. You're trying to get people to do things. And that's the purpose of an actual sale. Because if you don't get no movement, nothing happens.
Do you think the internet has helped sales or hurt sales? Because on the one side, you've got millions, billions of people who can be connected and can interact and do whatever they want together, purchase this, sell that, whatever it might be. But then on the other is that you do have a million plus people, millions, who are trying to sell you something. And it's like, every time I turn around, somebody's trying to get in contact with me. And it's like, okay, well, what do they really want?
Well,
Do they want a friendship, or are they just trying to sell me something?
You're in the United States, so you're being sold everywhere you go. You drive down the road, you see billboards, you go everywhere you go, 7-Eleven. You're being sold all the time, so you shouldn't be offended. We should be numb to that. The internet is a good thing for most people. You got your sales cycle, your sales funnel. You got people that can, they can put their item out there, and people just click on it, and they think they're the best salesperson in the world. I started it, luckily, to start before the internet boom. When I started sales, there was no computers. It was just a black phone and a phone list. And sometimes I do that with my clients. Take the computer, get rid of it, and just get on the phone. And a lot of people don't want to do that because that's where the real meat and potatoes of the business actually is, right? Can you do that? I always relate to people, if you had a child who had to need kidney transplant and a doctor said, well, he needs a kidney transplant in the next 2 months, we have 15,000 people here that we need to contact possibly to find out if there's a match. Would you like to help? Right? There's the motivation. Now, can you get on the phone and ask 15,000 people if there's a match for your son? You would do it, right?
Sure.
People say, oh, I can't do that. I don't feel comfortable. It depends on the mindset. And sales is actually fun if you have a good product. And that's what people always think about, the negative aspect of it, because people that are good at sales that use it in a negative way give sales a negative connotation, right? They're ripping people off. They know how to sell. They know how to get the product out there, but the product doesn't serve what people need, right? So,
well, what do you think? What do you think about Gary Vaynerchuk's style of
I love
give,
it.
give,
Love it.
and then ask?
Yeah,
And,
love it.
and
I
but
follow.
not ask.
That's one of my role models. That guy is on. I can't keep up with him. Goodness gracious. He only sleeps 1 hour, but he has it going and he's being consistent. But he's telling you, Gary is a great guy to follow because he's giving you the hard, no nonsense, no fluff, PDF, download, webinar stuff. He's just giving it to you straight. And a lot of people can't take it.
Yeah, he's pretty direct. He's got that jersey kind of in your face, and you either love it or you don't. But I love that. I moved from South Carolina up to New Jersey and went to Rutgers up there. And initially it was like, oh my gosh, these people are rude. But you know what? I came to appreciate it. A lot of it was just honesty. And I came to I love that. It's like, hey, if I was getting on someone's nerves, they would tell me. It's like, Tim, you're getting on my nerves. Get out of here. And I appreciate it because I knew where everyone stood. Where sometimes here in the South, people will smile in front of you, but they talk behind your back.
Hey, we're from South Carolina. We know what that's all about. But yeah, if you're in telemarketing, I been in for many years on the call center doing cold calls throughout the nation, and depending on where I'm calling, what zip code I'm calling, I would change my tactics. I would have to. When you call somebody from New York, New Jersey, you would basically have 8 seconds, right? And you better not be playing around. You call down to the South, people want to know you a little bit, so you need to, talk a little jargon, and I would change my accent if I had to. And if I called Los Angeles, I would change it to my British accent and then say, "Hi, this name," and change my name to George, and say, "This is George, and I was calling to ask you about your service." And people were like, "Oh," so they actually deem British people more intelligent, non-threatening. So I would get more of my point across to make sure that that's what they would want, right? So that's why I say women are the one of the best salespeople out there, because when you're calling males, it's just basically, and you have a nice female voice and you're calling them, you have about 8 to 15 more seconds normal than a guy, right? So the main thing is getting that opening, especially if you're doing cold calling. The guy's like, "Who is this?" And then, "Hi, my name," and he's like, "Who is this?" And then, "Have you ever thought about changing and he's like, "Really?" But if it's a guy, it's like, "Hi, George, this has been, you ever thought about," I ain't got time for this, click. Right? so
Yeah. Hmm.
so it's all about time, and being able to get in there and know, like, and trust, and build up and find out there's a benefit for your product and get it out there.
Well, Ben, it sounds like you got a ton of experience in sales. What kind of tips do you have for entrepreneurs out there who are new to selling either their product or a service, who want to get started? Do you have any information for them that will be helpful?
Yeah, I get in front of most people that start with a product and I say, "Sell it to me," and most of them can't, right? Everybody wants to talk marketing. So when you go on the internet, Facebook, anything that you get into, you start getting on Google and start tracking all these guys that do a lot of stuff out there for marketing, and you want to Facebook and you want to Twitter and do the social media, and all that actually plays a part. But the main thing of it is that you need to create a sales cycle. So no businesses, 95% of businesses don't make it 5 years, right, Tim?
Yep,
Right.
that's
And
true.
why they don't normally, because they're not selling their product efficiently enough, right? Even though you got a great product, if you're not out there, well, selling it, you don't have money to market. You can't market. You don't have sales. So I've had people that run businesses out there that don't do any marketing, right? Insurance does great by that, right? They normally get referrals. In my book, the last part is, generate referral clients who generate referrals. There's businesses out there that don't really need that many referrals. Their marketing is getting the referrals going on to the next client, right? But most people are just excited to do one sale and walk away and go to another cold client or another cold client, and they realize that you know, normally, depending on the product or service, you could sell their friends and family on it, right? You already done half the work. Just finish and ask. So most people don't even ask for referrals. So you need to have a sales system. What's going to happen when that client contacts you by email, phone? They're walking into your office, they're walking into your store, you're doing outbound calls. What is the process that you're taking them to, and make sure that you and everybody at your company is on that same page, right? The receptionist, the shipping department, the customer service. You always could do upsells. What is your main thing? I come to people, what is your sales process? Well, I have this business that I'm thinking about. What is your sales process? 9 times out of 10, they can't answer it, right? So you're going to stumble around until you figure out, rather than just selling it first and then taking the money and build the company. And it makes it a whole lot easier. You do need a business plan. You do need marketing. You do need accounting. But most people don't focus on sales until the money runs low. I know, they call me. "Can you help me?" I'm like, "Oh, you're running out of money."
Yeah, yeah, and that's a terrible place to be in. So you're saying have a sales system in place,
Yeah.
and a system in how you will continue to work with customers or kind of bring them down the line. So let's say someone has a service that they want to offer, say a coaching service online.
hmm
What do you recommend for marketing? Are Facebook ads good, or I mean, what do they do to market themselves
Ooh,
online?
Facebook ads. You better get your game tight. That's a lot of money there. Um,
Ooh,
so main thing is figuring out, as we always go when you go through the program, is figuring out your target market or area you want to market, not to everyone. right? What problem are you solving? And also communicate the language of what they're speaking, right? So if you're dealing with women, there's a certain type of language that you speak when you come to that. Also, I come to people if they've been in business. A lot of businesses won't even communicate with their former clients. If I go to them and I ask, why did they buy from you? Why would I buy from you? Right? So if I come to you, you're a coach, and I ask you, why would I buy from you? I do this with most of my clients, and they just look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, well, you can't tell me why I would buy from you? So they're looking for that market to just bring low hanging fruit. These are the people that don't want to sound too salesy, right? They love low hanging fruit. They just want to be able to get on the phone. People just give them the credit card or whatever. They don't want to put them through a process. They don't want to sound too salesy. They think it's rude. But actually, sales is giving them a tour of the product and service that you give them the benefit, and then asking them for the sale. It's just simply asking. You don't have to be abrasive. You don't need a, War and Peace book on closing techniques if you do most of the stuff that you need to do up front, right? And one of those are qualifying. So the key point is dealing with people that you can help and serve instead of spending time with people that you can't. And a lot of people do a lot of that. They spend a lot of time with unqualified clients, right? Just cutting that out alone normally is 50% of the job in sales right there. They're talking to people that they assume that's going to buy, and they chase them, and they keep calling them and following up, and they don't answer the phone. And finally the people say, we decided we didn't want to go that route, which is the kiss of death, which means they either got disinterested, didn't want to buy from you, or bought from another competitor and didn't want to tell you to your face.
Okay, yeah. Well, all this sounds pretty complicated, and that's why people would come to you as a consultant to help them, because it's not just a one easy answer. Do this, get lots of money. Place a Facebook ad, make lots of money. It's just not as simple. A lot of it is about systems, understanding who your identified clients are, and so that's great stuff. But Ben, when did you realize you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and how did you make that step?
I started my entrepreneur. Actually, I've been ever since I was small. I was selling peanuts. We grew up on a farm in St. George, South Carolina, and we had one of the products that we had, or one of the crops that we had corn, soybeans, was peanuts. So my dad would plant these peanut patch, and we would pick peanuts and then sell what we used to call a peck. And it takes like what was it, 4 pecks for a bushel? No, 4 pecks for a bucket, and then about like 8 buckets for a bushel. So you'd be out there, and we would go down to the businesses, and I would sell peanuts, and actually sell peanuts at school. And my mom was a caterer, so she would make candy, and I would go and sell candy at school. So I had the bug very early on of understanding what that is. But conventional is, I think it started in 1996. I started my own eBay business, and I was selling used cell phones. I put an ad in one of the flyers that everybody used to get, the discount flyers of before Craigslist, and I would ask for used cell phones, and I would buy cell phones and flip them on eBay. And that was one of my first things, and I made more with that in a week than I was doing normally in sales, hustling for somebody else, building somebody else's empire, right? And so with that in mind, I've had numerous businesses since then, and I think right now I'm unemployable.
Wow. Selling used cell phones. Those weren't the phones that had the bag battery,
Oh,
when they first
Prime
came out.
Let's
That
go
was back in
back.
the 80s. Huh?
That was back in 2000. So you had Primeco, you had the old Motorola's, you had the StarTax. I normally had 300 or 400 phones on my living room floor, just going through doing
Three to
technical.
400 phones. How'd you get your hands on 300 to 400
I
phones,
was
man?
great at sales, and I was good at marketing. I would get on the phone and call. You know anybody that has cell phones?
Man,
And then I would go to churches and say I would give you $5 a phone at the church. So the churches would put together. Now it's been taken over. When you go to Best Buy and you drop your phone in the entranceway and your cartridges.
right?
I was doing that before that.
They stole your idea, Ben.
Well, they had more money and everything else. I mean, the same thing like Uber. I thought about it. I said, well, I live in Florida and I always come to South Carolina, right? And I was always thought about if there's a way that on the way, because I drove all by myself all the time, 7 hours. If there was somebody I can pick up and help pay for gas, I probably would. I'm not a woman. I'm a Marine, and if I can qualify them and pick them up and pay for the gas since I'm going that way, that would be a nice little deal, right? Then
So you
Uber.
pick up a hitchhiker?
Yeah, I'm in Marine Corps. Somebody side the road, you just let them know. Now you can just say, hey, let me take a picture of your license. I'm gonna send it to my wife. If you kill me, they know who you are. So you just have to figure that
You
kind of
show them your
stuff.
Marine tattoo first, and then that way they know
Well,
right up not to mess with you.
yeah, I mean, that was what it was back in the days in the 80s and 90s. If you needed a ride, you would sit at the gas station and ask somebody for a ride. You're a man. I wouldn't tell any women to do that, but I'm saying, that's how I got back and forth to Camp Lejeune sometime, swoop circle. Like have a Marine pick you up and drop you off right on 95. That's where I lived. And then, wait for somebody at the gas station. Hey, you going north? Can you drop me off, such and such and hitchhike back? So, do whatever you got to do. Most people are, they get it easy nowadays, which we all know. It always gets easier as time goes by, right?
Absolutely. Hey, before I forget, let me just thank you for your service, Ben. I mean, that's incredible. You were out there serving our country. And man, I can't thank the men and women enough who are out there sacrificing their time, their lives for the freedoms that we have. So thank you, sir. Before I forget, just wanted to make sure I put that out there.
You're very welcome.
Hey, now we're going to move into, it's a brand new round, something I've created, Ben, that you're the first guest to go through this. It's called the dig round. I give you 3 quick questions. You have to answer them fast. And the first one is, what inspires you daily?
My children and
Your children. Got it. Who impresses you as a business leader?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
And street smarts versus book smarts. Which is more important?
Streets keep you alive. Books get you paid.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. Hey, you did a great job on that. You're the first one. Now let's move on to a time that you were just overworked, Ben, feeling like you couldn't take it anymore, stressed out. What was going on and how did you overcome it?
Oh, there's a number of times that happened. But the thing about it is getting back to yourself. Because life can take you for rides, people, association, businesses, all that can take you, relatives can take you for a ride, and then meditation came back in. You have all this yoga, meditation, getting back to yourself, which was a key component, right? So, it's important for you to actually think about yourself. My sister just sent something. I think you would enjoy it to me by text. I'm going to share it with you guys, and I think you'll get a lot from it because when I looked at it, I want to put it out there. And this was done by the Dalai Lama, right? And it says, man sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The results of being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die and then dies having never really lived.
Wow. Powerful stuff. Love that. That's a great Dalai Lama quote there.
Yes.
So when you read that, that must have kind of put things in perspective. Were you ever at that point where you were just so focused on money that
Oh yeah.
you were sacrificing your daily life?
You ever worked 100% commission?
100% commission. Well, as an entrepreneur, yeah, that's that's what you depend on. You don't make a sale, you don't eat.
Right, but when you do it in a sales organization where you're spending your time there, you're not building nothing for yourself. You're more passionate because it is your business, right? But when you're doing it for someone else on the floor every day, 9 to 5, that is a lot of pressure because you might not have a job. So you're not an entrepreneur, right? And you're 100% commission. So whatever you make is whatever you make. It's like having a gig, stand up. It only lasts as long as you're being productive. And that's one of the key components. That's why I say I look and I'm blessed enough to still look young and not be stressed out. Especially after being in the Marine Corps, I realized most of the stuff that we encounter today in today's marketing world is basically all in our head, right? When you face more adversity, where life-threatening situations. When I look at business, I always can look at it with a glass half empty, half full, whatever way you want to look at it, because you're just blessed to have your health and just keep moving. So don't let people stress you out. Keep focused on what you're doing. If you like or love your product, just go out and sell it. And, by serving others, you make money yourself. So just look to do that. Simplify.
Yep.
There's too many complications right now in business. Should I Facebook? Should I do Facebook ads? I look at every day. I got an automation for Twitter. I got Facebook. All this stuff has to go down. It's a necessity to keep your name out there, right? But it will eat you up when your main focus is actually going out and, like for me, coaching, talking to people, getting them what they need, not sitting in front of a computer developing copy. So that's where you need to start learning to delegate, right?
Yeah, delegate is very, very important as an entrepreneur because you can't do it all. But looking back, since you've done so much, Ben, what's been maybe a standout moment for you? One that's been very fulfilling where you said, yes, this is why I work for myself. Do you have one of those moments?
We all do. I think for the first time, if you ever worked for any extended period of time, you have all these young entrepreneurs that don't understand what it's like to work for corporations. Good for them, where you have to get up and you have to, put your time in to learn. And I always tell people, college is good. Working for somebody is great before you start out on your own because you're going to make a ton of mistakes, right? So model behind somebody, work for somebody that you like to be, and figure out how the systems work. Because if you don't know that, you're just going to stumble around until you do. But the main thing is, I think for a lot of people, is that Monday morning that you wake up, if you ever worked, we're talking many years for a company, and you finally make enough as an entrepreneur, and you realize that you get up on Monday morning and you really don't have to go to the office till 12 o'clock, and you're making enough more money than you did when you were working for that company. And you can go and sit in Panera Bread and all that and hang out and go to the mall when people are not there and don't have to wait in line and, schedule your day based upon that. But, being entrepreneurs, you're working 60, 70 hours anyway, but you work when, at 3 o'clock in the morning like I do, 4 o'clock in the morning, but you have the options. You're in control, right? So the systems in place gives you enough time to have that control, time for your family, for your travel, laptop entrepreneurs, which everybody wants to be right now. I want to be in a laptop and travel around the world and take pictures and be a millionaire. But, that's only going to last so long. As you know, we have another bubble that's coming down the pipe. We've had it good for 10 years. So all of these people that had it good for the last couple of years need to strap it on because I'm telling you right now, you need to know sales and get the sales going because good times don't always last. And we've had it good for a long time.
You heard it here. But anyway, as an entrepreneur, for sure, being able to have your own schedule, spend time with friends and family, you're probably not going to have that 4-hour work week, but it may be like 80 hours. But hey, when you're passionate about what you do, it's all fun and it's not like work. And, it's if you're going to your job and you're like, oh, yeah, it's Monday morning and then Friday comes along and then you start getting excited for the weekend. No, as an entrepreneur and you're passionate about what you have, Monday morning can be like Friday. Every day of the week can be fun. But let me tell you, Ben, you've been fantastic. I've loved having you as a guest. But before we go, why don't you tell the listeners how they can find you online, where they can purchase your book and all that great stuff?
Awesome. Well, they can go to my website. I have a actual 10-step guide, 13-page guide that you can get for free. It's a pop-up that comes on there, and it's at 360salesconsulting.com. That's 360salesconsulting.com. My name is Benjamin Brown. And also, if you have a real need and your business is in dire straits, and I'll do this for your show, Tim, very limited, but I do what's called a strategy session, which normally lasts about an hour, hour and a half, and I'm all for you guys, the first 5 people that want to get involved. You can have that strategy session at no charge. It's normally $250, and for that, you just go to meetwithbenjamin.com and schedule yourself a call.
Wow, that's incredible. Hour and a half. I hope people jump on that because people aren't giving up their time for free like that, especially when it comes to an important kind of focus such as sales. So I hope it's limited to 5 people, right, Ben?
Absolutely. And also tell them if they want the book, it's on Amazon, and the title is Master the Art of Closing the Sale by Benjamin Brown.
Master the Art of Closing the Sale. Thank you, Ben. You've been fantastic. I hope to stay in touch, and I'll visit you when I'm down in Tampa, and we will go check out some alligators.
Absolutely. And I'll be coming up to South Carolina next month, so hopefully we get some chance to hang out as well.
Sounds great. Take care, Ben.
Thank you, sir.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskus.com.